Good morning, everybody. Happy Earth Day. My name's Luke Wallace, and here's a song called Sons and Daughters. Well, get your kids to a garden with, and garden they'll grow, and they'll learn to go easy, learn to live slow. Get your kids to a garden with, and garden they'll grow, and they'll learn to go easy. Then go easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember this place is for your sons and daughters. Easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember who this place is for. Then get your kids to a river with, the river they'll flow. It'll teach them how to paddle, it'll teach them how to row. Get your kids to a river with, the river they'll flow. It'll take them where they need to go. Then go easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember this place is for your sons and daughters. Easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember who this place is for. Said I'ma go easy, easy. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, easy. I'm going easy, yeah. Let 'em see their reflection wherever they go. In the rain, water, flood, water, sleet, hail, snow. Let 'em see their reflection wherever they go. Then get your kids to a garden with, and garden they'll grow, and they'll learn to go easy, learn to live slow. Get your kids to a garden with, and garden they'll grow, and they'll learn to go easy. Then go easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember this place is for your sons and daughters. Easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember who this place is for. Said I'ma go easy, easy. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, easy. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, easy. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, yeah. I'm going easy, I'm going easy. I'm going easy, yeah. Easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember this place is for your sons and daughters. Easy on the earth, lightly on the water. Remember who this place is for.
Our invocation today is taken from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. It's part of the Thanksgiving address of the Onondaga people of eastern North America, of Turtle Island. It is said that the people were instructed to offer these words whenever they gathered, no matter how many or how few, before anything else was done. So, now, wherever you are, inside, at home, out of doors, around Vancouver, around the province, in many other time zones, we are together. In the Onondaga language, this is the words that come before all else. And it has a response at the end, which I hope you'll join in, which is, now our minds are one. So, today we have gathered, and we see that the cycles of our lives continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and with all living things. So now, let us bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. Here on this campus, in this sanctuary, we occupy the unceded land of the Musqueam people. We seek to reconcile our thinking to the fact that our European forebears were uninvited here and practiced a particularly toxic form of white racial superiority in their colonization. Despite that, the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh, the original people of these beautiful lands and waters, survive and thrive, and their traditional leaders maintain their historic sense of gratitude and responsibility to the land and all the plants, all the trees, all the creatures there. I believe the Coast Salish elders would have agreed with the Onondaga elders. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. We newcomers have much to learn. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Vancouver at 49th and Oak. My name is Catherine Hembling, and I'm part of the Enviro team, also known as the Environment Committee of this church. And we are sponsoring this service. We have invited scientist and activist Alexandra Morton to be our guest speaker, and we welcome her to our space.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Ponsford, your second Catherine of the day. I am a member of the Board of Trustees and very happy to be here. I am sporting the tattoos of spring, which I'm sure many of you can relate to, so do not adjust your screens. I am indeed covered with paint, but I'm going to go paint some more this afternoon, as are many of you possibly, so that's what's going on in case you're wondering. I wanted to thank you so much to everybody who's been able to pull this together. Today it's sort of a mix of pre-recorded things as well as live. I am live, and being live, I'd love to show you the beautiful flowers that we have up here, and a huge thank you to the people who were able to swing that. So I understand technically we're going to, there we go, there we are. So we have some gorgeous flowers, and I only wish my garden looked anywhere near that nice. So thank you very much to the people who were pulling that together today. I'd like to actually just start with the offering. I'd like to invite everybody out there who is able, willing and able to support the work of this congregation and the Outreach Opportunities Fund. A portion of the offering today will be shared with the Mood Disorders Association of British Columbia. So important. And with that, I'd also like to transition and tell you a little bit about the 7 principles that are the foundation, really, of our Unitarian tradition. At least for me, I remember the first time I heard them, I found them so very grounding, and they really spoke to me. So I want to repeat them for you here today. So we affirm and we promote these 7 principles. First is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second is justice, equality, and compassion in all our human relations. Acceptance of one another, and encouragement for spiritual growth in our congregation, and a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The 5th is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process, both in our congregation as well as our society at large. 6th is the goal of a world community with equality and justice and peace, liberty for everybody. And then finally, respect for this interdependent web of all existence, of which we are very much a part. These are the 7 principles that we affirm and promote as Unitarians. And every time I hear them, they kind of give me the shivers. So if they speak to you, you're in the right place. With that, let me transition. We have one announcement from the board today. So it's an invitation to a forum. It's coming up in 2 weeks. So Sunday, May the 2nd, there'll be a forum at 12:30 online. And it's going to be to provide an exciting update on all the updates that are being planned for the sanctuary. So replacing the pews with chairs and putting in a new lighting and sound system. So please join us in 2 weeks online for the forum. I understand the link will be available in 2 weeks when you need to get there. So just be able to follow it when the time comes, and something to look forward to in the meanwhile. And with that, I just wanted to offer a thank you for everybody who's taken a little time in the last couple of minutes to offer something toward our outreach opportunities funds and the offering. So this is essentially like a thank you for all of you who are able to contribute something. Your contributions are important and really gratefully received on behalf of the congregation. So thank you to everybody who gave today. And then finally, I'd like to talk to you about the pledge. So I understand on your screen shortly, you'll see a little bit of sort of the statistics of how things are progressing with the pledge. So you'll see a number of bar graphs coming up, and you'll see the blue bar graphs are the graphs for this year's pledge in terms of progress. So we got off to a strong start, and we're in the middle of the middle now, and so we're here to give things a bit of an injection and encourage everybody to give as they can. I know for me, I've had a chance to think about the pledge a little bit, and it had me thinking back to the beginning of COVID. So, you know, when COVID first came, everything shut down and we all were locked in our homes. And then I think it was around last June or something, things started to open up a little again and we all breathed a sigh of relief. And I personally am not a strong shopper. I don't enjoy shopping very much, but I was heading out with my 2 daughters and my husband said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going shopping." And he says, "You hate shopping. What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to go and spend as much money as we can afford in all of our local little shops because I really want to keep them going. And I know they're really hurting." And that's what we did. And everything about COVID has you sort of stopping and thinking about what's important to you, what sustains you, what do you want to see in the world. And the Unitarian Church, UCV, is like that for me. It's a place that's very important to me, it sustains me, and I really want to have it here in the world. And so I've decided to increase my pledge this year, and I would invite you to do the same. UCV in good times is a wonderful place of community, of laughs, of intergenerational connection, of beautiful music and insightful thoughts. You come and you get your world opened up when you come here and talk to folks. And in bad times, for a lot of people, it's a harbor. It's a place where you can come and be accepted for who you are. You can find yourself among kindred spirits, people who value the same things that you do and are open to being there with you through whatever you're going through. And I know for me, I grew up in the city, so I do have a lot of family and friends, but not a lot of people who really want to talk about those deep things in life. And here, everybody does, or at least a lot of people do. So I really value being able to come here and, as I said, find those kindred spirits. And I want this place to continue to be here for years and years to come. So I've increased my pledge, and I invite you to do the same. I think that's probably enough talking. I think it's time for a song. So with that, we'll turn it over to our Chalice choir leads for a thank you for your commitment to the pledge.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
It's our tradition to light a chalice at the beginning of every service. So We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of an understanding illuminate our darkness, and may the warmth of sharing bring us peace. As the environment team stands up to work for the environment against salmon farms, against TMX pipeline actions, against liquefied natural gas ports, we are becoming more and more aware of the worldview of Indigenous people, where humans are the last on the scene, the little brothers and sisters of all other living things. It's a new and humbling way of seeing our role in the natural world, and it encourages us to gratitude. And so I've chosen to return to braiding sweetgrass and the Onondaga Thanksgiving address for our opening words. And I'd ask you to participate at the end with "Now Our Minds Are One" at the end of each of the two stanzas. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst, for providing strength and nurturing life for all beings. We know its power in many forms: oceans and inlets, waterfall and rain, mists and streams, snow and ice. We are grateful that the waters are still here and meeting their responsibility to the rest of creation. Can we agree that water is important to our lives and bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to the waters? Now our minds are one. We are thankful to our Mother Earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. It gives us joy that she still continues to care for us, just as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect. Now our minds are one. For our hymn, please join, as you're willing and able, to sing "Keepers of the Earth." The words are on your screen, thanks to the magic of our electronic wizards.
We are blessed.
Happy Earth Day, everyone. My name's Diane, and I would like to share with you a story that I love. It's called Salmon Stream, and it's by Carol Reed Jones, with beautiful illustrations by Michael S. Madak. This is the stream in the forest. This is the water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the deep and shady pool filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the nest of rocky gravel far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. The egg of a salmon, born to travel, hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the tiny fish that hatched and has its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the trout that tried to catch the tiny fish so newly hatched, that has its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. A hovering osprey dived to snatch the wily trout that tried to catch the tiny fish so newly hatched, that has its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. These are the spotted fry that grow and wait for a sign they instinctively know. The rains will tell them when to go. They leave the place where the osprey snatched the wily trout that tried to catch the tiny fish so newly hatched, that had its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. Traveling down with the current's flow, facing upstream as they go, the smolt pass obstacles great and small, gravelly shallows, a waterfall, through culverts and pipes devised by man, down a fish ladder on a dam, and to an estuary wide. Drifting with the ebbing tide, they reach their saltwater home at last, an ocean indescribably vast. The salmon grow for months in the sea, catching fish and swimming free, trying not to become a meal for human, sea lion, orca, or seal, until they get the homing urge to gather where river and ocean merge. This is the rain that swells the rivers and sends the message that nature delivers to salmon, to send them home to spawn, relentlessly swimming on and on, up the river with the tide, past the estuary wide, up a fish ladder on a dam, through culverts and pipes devised by man, obeying the voice of instinct's call, they leap a 10-foot waterfall to reach the place where they were born, bruised from the journey, weary and worn. The salmon come home at the end of their lives. They spawn, and each little egg that survives will start the cycle over again with the coming of the rain, and silver smolt will discover the sea and turn to salmon swimming free, and tiny fish will one day hatch with their dinners still attached, from the eggs of a salmon born to travel, that hide in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. Isn't that nice? Salmon are awesome. Thank you.
We now take some time in our service to lift up and acknowledge one another's specific joys and concerns. As each candle is lit, please take a moment to think of that person and join me in saying, "We light this candle together." Lynn Stevens asks us to please light a candle in memory of Faith Beach, who passed on April 12th. We light this candle together. Louise Bunn asks us to please light a candle for the healing of her poor broken hand. We light this candle together. Margot Elfert asks us to light a candle for all of our wild salmon. We light this candle together. Catherine Hembling requests another candle for Timothy and his Tree Sit supporters celebrating on the brunette thanks to Hummingbird. We light this candle together. Nan Gregory asks us to please light a candle for her friend Mary, who is in hospital receiving oxygen therapy. We light this candle together. Margaret Fletcher asks us to please light a candle for the energy in our communities to change the hearts and minds of anti-maskers and restrictions ignorers. We light this candle together. And Julia Myers asks us to please light a candle for the bees who are coming in very slowly this very cold spring. We light this candle together. We light our last candle for ourselves, for each of our unspoken joys and sorrows, to see and hold one another in our hearts. We light this candle together.
For our meditation today, we have a biosphere grounding meditation, thanks to Louise Bunn. We begin by sitting quietly in a place you won't be disturbed. Take a deep breath in and release it out. Close your eyes. We begin with the knowledge that we are all cells in our local biosphere. Become aware of your body and the space it occupies in the room you are in. Breathe your awareness into all of your body so that you can fully feel it. Feel your skin. Feel your personal energy field. Expand your awareness beyond the room you are in. Become aware of all the plants and trees all around you. Become aware of all the mycelial networks in the soil all around you. Expand your awareness into these networks. Feel your connections to these, like nerves. Breathe with these connections and allow yourself to be part of this network. Once again, your awareness expands as you breathe, and you begin to notice the insects as part of your biosphere. With each breath, you become larger, and you include small animals, then larger animals, nature spirits, ancestors. Feel the blood in your veins flowing as the Capilano, the Seymour, Coquitlam, and even the Fraser rivers and watersheds. Feel the fish within them. Breathe into the winds, dancing and singing, that have traveled over the Pacific, picking up moisture to dump it over the islands, picking up more as you cross the Strait of Georgia. Bless the land with the sweet gift of rain. Breathe the mightiness of changeable wind. And feel the sunlight of our bioregion, and the moonlight and how it affects the tides. Breathe. Know that you are enmeshed in this web of connection, fully conscious, full of power and beauty, fully connected to this place and this time. And when you are ready, open your eyes, and in the shining presence of many splendors, remember that you are water. Cry, cleanse, flow. Remember that you are fire. Burn, tame, ignite. Remember that you are air. Be still, focus, decide. Remember that you are earth. Ground, build, give.
So we can make a comeback and save it for our kids. Then I could tell your son that I gave all I had to give to build a bigger wolf pack and get 'em howling at the wind. Yeah, we could make a comeback. Feel the weight of it all and I'll let it sink in. But this ain't nothing new, it's what I'm always thinking. And a break in the flow is like my mind blinking. A moment of rest, nah. And in the pause I can feel all the weight start to lift, like a rift in the clouds, like my favorite song loud. A story coming clear over the crowd, so I listen in close, nah. Yeah, and I hear the future go something like this. Sound of the singers coming through crisp. Steady ourselves, climb back to the bliss, and welcome anything that walks through that mist. Love, so I insist that we go there together. Start from the bottom, build something much better. Whatever the weather, it's right on time. Said the moment's arrived, nah. Yeah, we can make a comeback and save it for our kids. And I could tell your son that I gave all I had to give to build a bigger wolf pack and get 'em howling at the wind. Yeah, we can make a comeback. See, the truth is that I don't know where to begin. In the ocean, the forest, the political grin, the methane, the coup, the violence within. Guess I'll look for a sign, nah. And the second I look, there it appears, hiding behind all that sorrow and fear. And when I look in your eyes, I can see it so clear. We're one and the same, nah. So come back to love, come back to the land, come back together and come lend a hand. Come back to the soil, come back to the sand, come back to yourself, nah. Yeah, we can make a comeback and save it for our kids. And I could tell your son that I gave all I had to give, and I wish you hadn't done that. Thrown our future to the wind, but we can make a comeback. Hey, we can make a comeback and save it for our kids. And I could tell your son that I gave all I had to give to build a bigger wolf pack and get 'em howling at the wind. Said I could be the comeback. Yeah, I could be the comeback. Yeah, I could be the comeback. the comeback.
Hello, happy Earth Day. Here we are. We've survived a year in the pandemic. That in itself is quite an accomplishment. Over 30 years ago, I found my home, the perfect place to study whales, to raise my family, the place that really called to me and became my home, the Broughton Archipelago, or Echo Bay. The first few years were pure discovery, learning the secrets of the whales. It was such a remarkable place because when the orca came in there, they broke down into their smallest divisible unit, which was basically mom and the kids, which was perfect for the study I was doing because I tried to keep track of what every whale was up to, and at the same time I was recording their sounds. And then I would try to put together the sounds and the behaviors to figure out what they were saying. I also realized I just loved that life. I loved being in the wilderness, all of the challenges that come with it. But then gradually, over the years, of course, the salmon farming industry moved in. And I had the excruciating experience of watching my home die, watching less fish come back, the orca leave, a whole series of things, the loss of the herring. And somehow this called me to fight. I don't really know why I thought I could change it, but it was that feeling of, they can come in here, obviously, and do what they like, but I also have the option of responding. And so that response has changed. I mean, I started this as a young woman with black hair, and I had different methods, different thoughts. I saw things in a much more narrow fashion than I do now. I realize now that the most important thing is to broaden the fight out, to include your allies, to support those allies, find those allies. I have engaged in science and the law and massive letter writing, which is always important, and then protesting, and finally activism. And activism is such a powerful thing because it's the act of standing in the way of whatever it is that is destroying life. I mean, there's people doing it right now at Fairy Creek, and my heart goes out to them. It's a very, very powerful act, particularly if you can remain peaceful all the way through. As a result of all of that, in particular the activism that the First Nations engaged in, and which I had the pleasure and honor of supporting, we have made the change in the Broughton. The First Nations have taken control of that place. Nothing is going to happen with salmon in the Broughton Archipelago without the authority of First Nations. And every year, one or more salmon farms are being removed forever. I mean, what an incredible experience to go to a place that was an industrial site with blowers blowing out feed made of fish from the South Pacific and all sorts of grain crops from South America, an oily sheen on the water, the seagulls frustrated because they can't get through the net to eat the dying fish that are lying on the surface. And I go there now, and it's just water. It's just smooth green water and dark hillsides and the sound of the wind and the eagles and the gulls. And what an experience to be able to see that. And the young salmon that are coming out of the rivers and going through these areas are beautiful. So it started last year where a bunch of the worst farms have been taken out, and I had to work alone because of COVID for the first few weeks, and I caught the fish and put them in the little bags that I look at them in, and They were just glittering in silvers and blues, and their eyes were so dark. I mean, I'm looking at them really, really closely, and I look straight into these jet black eyes. It's like looking into another universe. And I work very quickly, and then I release them on their way. I can't help but just, wish them a good life. This summer, those fish will be coming back to the Broughton, and I am really anticipating that. Are they going to be in larger numbers than they have been? Did they have a good life out at sea? It's really, I'm holding my breath for that moment. At the same time, a miraculous thing happened in the Discovery Islands off of Campbell River, where our Minister of Fisheries, who was in Nova Scotia, told the 3 salmon farming companies that are using this coast to grow Atlantic salmon, she told them they were not going to be allowed to put any more fish into the 19 salmon farms around the Discovery Islands, because this is the migration route of the Fraser River. Well, nobody's talked to these companies like that before. It was a bit of a shock for them, for all of us, really. I had to turn off all my devices, my computer, and just go outside at night and just stand there for a long time to even try to feel this, that my government had actually done something that I felt was important to the survival of wild salmon on this coast. Completely new feeling. Unfortunately, one of the companies sued our Minister of Fisheries and won, but it only means that the minister has to make the decision again. And her decision was based on the wishes and the orders of 7 First Nation leaders. So I'm hoping that she will have the resolve to make the same decision again. And maybe you might want to send her a note and just let her know how that makes you feel. Do you support this? That would be a very, very important thing to do. As I've been on this path for 30 odd years, it's been, depressing. It's been tiring. It's been exhausting. I have lost and lost and lost endlessly. But suddenly, there's hope. And I want to pass that on, because all of us who do anything to protect the natural world, whether it's a large thing or a small thing, we are becoming part of this ecosystem. We are becoming part of the natural history of wild salmon. I mean, those of us that are pushing back on the salmon farming industry, and there's now a lot of us, some of them are sitting in your audience right now, we are as important as the rivers and the wind and the rain and the snowpack and the coolness of the ocean. We have become part of the very powerful life force of this planet. Don't underestimate any effort that you make, because we all know as you fill a bucket, there's that last drip that fills the bucket and it spills over. Every little bit counts. So my strongest message in this Earth Day is we've learned a lot in this last year. We've learned that we can change. We did things that we didn't think were possible. I mean, I've been isolated here on the end of the island for a year, and I'm still going. And I know people have done much, much more difficult things. My heart goes out to the people that have been trapped in the cities or in apartments. But in any case, we learned that we can change. And this is very important, because obviously there's a lot of change that needs to happen for us to reverse the impacts of climate change. And they are occurring. Our governments are getting it. It's a little bit late, and so we have to really hurry along now. But it's time for us to join hands and for everybody to do what they can, whether it's to support somebody, or it's to plant a tree, or it's to donate, or write a letter. think about yourself as part of the force of this planet. And as the little salmon are going to sea this year, they're passing through waters with no salmon farms due to the intense effort of people over the last few years. And they're going to go out into the ocean, and they're going to gather the energy of the sun hitting the surface of the North Pacific. Because when the sun hits the ocean, zooplankton is born. And the little fish eat the zooplankton, and then the salmon eat the little fish. And then they carry that energy back, feeding 100 species along the way. And they climb up the rivers, and they lay their eggs. And when they die, those nutrients pour down over the watershed. And they make the trees grow, pull the carbon out of the atmosphere, and produce the oxygen that we breathe. These systems are so powerful and so important. And when we become part of them, rather than being the barrier, we become part of them, that's when things start to really get interesting. When the healing can accelerate to the point where every year we can think, there's more than there was last year. It's better than it was last year. I mean, imagine that feeling. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling in the Broughton Archipelago when I look at those fish. So I want to tell you that it's possible. I'm not done. There's many other places. There's lots of room for backsliding. But it is possible. It did happen. And it happened because so many people got involved. It didn't work when I did it by myself. No matter how hard I worked, it did nothing. I didn't move a single farm. But today, I'm back to being a biologist. I work with First Nations. And they ask me, Alex, what is the best thing for the fish? And that's the only thing I need to think of. What is the best thing for the fish? And then they go ahead and they deal with government. They make the changes. It's a fabulous relationship. So take heart and enjoy your beautiful service, and thank you so much for letting me talk to you. Bye for now.
Please join with me now in saying our affirmations of gratitude. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may be held by the generosity of others.
Standing on the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
I'm here on the banks of the Fraser River to honor our Earth Day service. Holding on to our hopes, we acknowledge our pain. Chief Wayne Sparrow of the Musqueam warned, we are 5 minutes to midnight to seeing the extinction of the Fraser River sockeye salmon. Dire words from the leader of the people who have been salmon stewards at the mouth of the Fraser River for more than 8,000 years. Moments ago, you heard the message from our beloved friend and guiding light, Alex Morton. And she talked about realizing that words were not enough. To make change, to break the status quo, we must act. Act. Like Greta Thunberg, who in 2018 ignited an unstoppable worldwide movement of youth climate change activists. Act like Alex and the indigenous men and women who occupied fish farms in the Broughton Archipelago and inspired thousands to also stand up in solidarity. I don't think of these people as soldiers in a war, but rather as a tide, a powerful rising tide of love and community, saying the damage must stop now. In 1960, 61 years ago, the Unitarian seventh principle was adopted, enshrining respect for the interdependent web of all life, the 4 billion-year-old intricate, interconnected web. We need to follow our UU principle and Alexandra Morton in her call to action. If we stop breaking the connections in that web and give the land and waters a chance to heal, life can return to balance. It is possible for the streams, rivers, and oceans to fill again with magnificent wild salmon, abundant forever. May it be so. Oseam.
This flame but not the light of hope, the warmth of commitment, or the fire of love. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
Thanks everybody so much for having me. Happy Earth Day. Please keep celebrating, protecting this beautiful place that we all live. And I'll leave you with a song. This is called On a Rise. Man, it's a funny thing about money and greed. The more you got, the more you think you need. I'ma go ahead and plant a different seed. Keep singing my songs and doing my deeds. And any money that I'll get, I'll give it back. And any money that you get, just give it back. Because life's about bigger things than cash. Any money that you get, just give it back. And it'll bring you closer. Oh, and brings me closer. I'm gonna rise up and meet it. I'll be right there to receive it. Open arms to greet it and carry you home. I'm gonna you rise up and meet it. I'll be right there to receive it. Open arms to greet it and carry you home. I'm on a rise. Well, it's a funny thing about love and laughter. You live long enough, it becomes the chapter that you just keep reading over again. It's back to the start when you get to the end. And any love that'll get, and give it back. Any loving that you get, just giving back. Because life's about exactly that. Any loving that you get, just giving back. And it'll bring you closer. Oh, yeah, it brings me closer. I'm gonna rise. You rise up and meet it. I'll be right there to receive it. Open arms to greet it and carry you home. I'm gonna rise. You rise up and meet it. I'll be right there to receive it. Open arms to greet it and carry you home. I'm gonna rise. 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 But how good is it? Yeah, how good is it? Yeah, how good is it? Yeah, how good is it? Is it that I'm gonna rise up and meet you? Be right there to receive you. Open arms to greet you. Carry you home. I'm gonna rise up and meet you. I'll be right there to receive you.